3 women, 20 murder victims. As at the 7th of June 2025, Rose West, Lucy Letby and Joanna Dennehy are the 3 women amongst the 80 UK prisoners serving a whole life prison sentence. Welcome to Evil. Together with her husband, Fred West, between 1973 and 1987, Rosemarie Pauline West, who was born in November 1953 in Northam, Devon, southwest England, murdered 9 young women. On her own, she took the life of an 8-year-old girl. Now viewer, if I've got you hooked on the story so far, do subscribe, give the video a like, drop a comment when you're ready and donate. Hit the thanks button below, I'll appreciate you. West had just turned 15 when, at a bus stop one night in early 1968, she met 27-year-old Fred, who I'll be referring to from this point on as perpetrator F. What the two couldn't possibly have known at that moment was that each was from a highly abusive background, West, for instance, having grown up essaying her younger brothers after being repeatedly raped by her father. For his part, while persistently suffering abuse of some kind from his father, perpetrator F first had sex at the age of 13 with his own M-H-O-T-H-E-R. What the two did rapidly discover in one another was a deep-rooted taste for pornography, prostitution and sadism. When they moved into 25 Cromwell Street in Gloucester, southwest England, they had since got married and were expecting their second child, their first having come a year after they met. West had, by this point, also murdered 8-year-old Charmaine West, one of her husband's 2 children from his earlier marriage to a woman called Rena Costello. When perpetrator F, who was banged up at this point for theft, learned what his wife had done, he was, overjoyed. In line with this, in exchange for his wife's murder disclosure to him, perpetrator F disclosed to his wife his own murder of his children's nanny, 18-year-old Anna McFall from 1967, and that of his 27-year-old ex-wife from 1971, this being the year of West's own murderous act. Of the 6 further children that West birthed, 3 were fathered by the punters that she slept with in her home-based sex work, who were mainly men that her husband invited over after approaching them in local pubs to fuck his wife for money. I don't know if West's own father paid his daughter when he came round to thingy her, but I can confirm that perpetrator F always used to watch his wife being fucked by other men through a peephole in the wall. He made videos of his wife's sexual coupling with strangers as well. Perpetrator F had built, all by himself, the torture chamber in the basement of his home where, in 1972, he and his wife imprisoned, tortured and raped their 17-year-old nanny, Caroline Owens. The next 9 victims of the evil couple, however, would suffer a far more devastating ordeal than that of Caroline, who was too traumatised and too scared to testify against the couple after managing to escape them and then file a police report against them. Being suspended from the ceiling of the torture chamber for days on end and being systematically tortured and raped in that time, all in the lead up inevitably to being murdered, is what, very sadly, befell Linda Goff, Carol Ann Cooper, Lucy Partington, Therese Siegenthaler, Shirley Hubbard, Juanita Mott, Shirley Robinson, Alison Chambers and Heather West. These women, who were all aged between 15 and 21, were mainly kidnapped at bus stops, one such place having ironically been, to remind you, where the evil couple had met, or while out hitchhiking, or while they were the couple's very lodgers. There are 2 theories on what led to the 1994 arrest of the murderous couple. One is that one day in 1992, some of their children approached a police officer as he walked down their street and basically told him that one of the girls was being abused by their father. A second theory is that the police were alerted, again in 1992, by the mother of a girl who was a school friend of Louise West, who was born around 1978, when Louise allegedly told the school friend that she had recently been twice dragged down to the cellar, the torture chamber that is, tied up and raped by her father. Whichever theory is true, it took 2 years for the police to be prompted to get a search warrant, go round to 25 Cromwell Street and start digging the garden up, the home's backyard being the main burial site of the young women who were murdered at the property. This action from the police came in response ultimately to the family joke, in inverted commas, that the 5 youngest children had, in the 2-year interim, been telling people, which consisted of their dad's previous repeat threat that they would end up, quote, under the patio, unquote, if they misbehaved. While she had been repeatedly raped by her father from a very young age, Heather West, who was born in 1970 and who died in 1987 at the age of 16, could never just accept it, which led to an occasion at 16 when she fought back particularly hard when her father was about to do it to her again. Hers was one of the many bodies that the police found literally under the patio of the garden of her home, West having stomped her daughter's head until the girl died for not letting her father grape her. The mother's act of murder had come after West and her husband tied their daughter up and raped her. The people that the couple's 5 youngest children had told the under the patio joke to were the foster carers with whom they had been placed as a result of the allegation of their father's rape of Louise, the court case for that having collapsed when Louise refused to testify. On New Year's Day 1995, perpetrator F hanged himself at Birmingham Prison. West, meanwhile, continues to serve the whole life prison sentence that she got in late 1995, HMP Newhall in West Yorkshire being her current home. I hope it's her current hell as well. We're still on the topic of women who kill children, very sadly, because murdering 7 newborn babies and attempting to murder a further 8 is why ex-neonatal nurse Lucy Letby, who lived in Chester, northwest England, is doing a record 15 whole life prison sentences. An only child, Letby grew up in Hereford, southwest England, with loving and devoted parents who, though massively saddened when their daughter moved all the way to Chester to train as a nurse, no less helped her, through a substantial monetary gift, buy a home up there. On qualifying as a nurse in 2011, Letby swiftly gained a reputation among her colleagues as reliable, hardworking and trustworthy. Having a large circle of friends, Nurse Letby's social calendar was filled with holidays abroad, nights out and salsa classes. She also once went on a trip to London with a married doctor that she fancied. Having joined the neonatal team at the Countess of Chester Hospital in January 2012, on the evening of the 8th of June 2015, Letby injected air into a vein of her first victim, baby A. The air blocked the supply of blood to the baby's heart and lungs, which rapidly led to the baby's agonised death. In court, her explanation for subsequently taking the baby's footprints and handprints and for photographing him after his death having come just over 24 hours after he was born, was her desire to comfort his parents, giving them something to remember their baby by. After searching the following evening for baby A's mother on Facebook, Letby injected air into a vein of none other than baby A's twin sister, baby B. Having an air embolus, which is what happens when you're unlucky enough to get air in your bloodstream, is not only all too often fatal, but also torturously painful. Letby tortured tiny newborn babies. Thankfully, the resuscitation efforts afforded to baby B were successful and she survived. In the early hours of the 14th of June 2015, baby C, who, having been born at 30 weeks gestation, was 4 days old and mainly stable but for a lung condition, was in his incubator in the intensive care nursery. He died in his parents' arms a few hours after Nurse Letby infused an excessive amount of air into his nasogastric tube. While he was still alive though, Letby told the parents that they had said their goodbyes to their baby boy and then offered to carry him away as if he were already dead in the basket that she'd brought. The father's understandably angry response was, quote, "He's not dead yet," unquote. The next day, Letby looked up the parents on Facebook. The timing of this search indicated that it was very probably the first thing that she did when she woke up that day. She was shown, in addition, to have repeatedly searched for the parents for months afterwards, including on Christmas Day. 3 days after killing baby D by injecting air into her bloodstream on the 22nd of June 2015, Letby searched for the baby girl's parents on Facebook. Then, on the 3rd of October 2015, she made 2 more searches for the baby's father. On the 29th of July 2015, Letby murdered baby E, one of twin boys, by causing an air embolus in his bloodstream. She also caused a serious injury to the baby's upper gastrointestinal tract, which caused substantial blood loss. Letby's attempt on the life of baby E's twin brother, baby F, which came overnight between the 4th and the 5th of August 2015, saw her change tack and attempt to commit murder by means of insulin poisoning. While baby F, who inevitably swallowed the insulin that Letby added to the breast milk that he was being fed through a bag, survived Letby's attack, he now suffers from severe learning disabilities as a result of her attack. As a result of Letby's 2 failed attempts on the life of baby G, the first coming overnight from the 6th to the 7th of September 2015, the second coming on the 21st of September 2015, the girl, who was born on the 31st of May 2015, is blind and has both cerebral palsy and scoliosis. In her first attack on baby G, Letby injected milk and air into her nasogastric tube. In her second attack, she overfed her. This is another case where Letby tried a new murder method, only to have it fail her, but no less cause permanent damage to her victim. On the 23rd of October 2015, Letby caused a fatal air embolus to baby H, who subsequently died in her parents' arms. Afterwards, Letby searched for the baby's mother on Facebook. In early April 2016, Letby administered insulin to baby I and injected air into the venous system of his twin brother, baby J, repeating what she had done 8 months earlier to the twins E and F. Both babies survived, but J has been left with severe brain damage. Letby's lifelong habit of, get this, collecting paper was her explanation for the numerous handover sheets relating to baby J that were later found in her home. Baby K, who Letby tried to murder on the 3rd of June 2016, suffered serious damage to his throat because of the injury that Letby inflicted on his oropharynx area, oropharynx meaning from the mouth to the middle of the throat. Another new murder method that failed the psychopath. Baby O is the one remaining triplet that was born to his mother at the Countess of Chester Hospital on the 21st of June 2016, Letby having killed his brother, baby L, on the 23rd of June, followed by his other brother, baby M, the day after. She gave each baby an air embolus and then took home handover sheets from that period with resuscitation notes written on the back to remind her, according to the judge of her murder trial, of the consequences of what she had done to the 2 babies. The handover sheets were trophies of her evil crimes. Following the death of his 2 brothers, baby O was transferred to another hospital, an action which may well have saved his life. Even at the point following the murder of baby D, Letby's 3rd murder, Letby was identified as the common denominator behind the 3 unexpected deaths of babies that the hospital had seen in a single fortnight. Before then, we should note, the hospital's newborn mortality rate had, for years, been 1 to 2 per year. Senior doctors who reported to management Letby's potential murderousness were not only told, basically, to shut up, but were also required to offer the killer an official apology. The hospital's admin team conveniently taken no notice when, after Letby was moved to a non-clinical role, newborns suddenly stopped dying unexpectedly. Letby's change of role came after the killer nurse murdered baby O and baby M, the woman's arrest not coming for another 2 years, July 2018. Letby wasn't actually charged though until November 2020. After her first trial, which concluded in July 2023 with the sentencing coming the following month, Letby was retried for a single count of attempted murder, her conviction for that coming in July 2024. Even today, numerous figures, including of course Letby's new lawyer, are protesting Letby's convictions as an egregious miscarriage of justice, a key argument of her supporters being that the woman's convictions come from circumstantial evidence only. Assuming the woman is guilty as charged, however, why the sick bastard did what she did, especially considering that she became a nurse, she says, to help newborns just as she herself was helped as a newborn following her own traumatic birth, is anyone's guess. Her 15 whole life orders, and I don't care how crazy this sounds, aren't fucking enough. In March 2013, Joanna Christine Dennehy, a 30-year-old mother of two from Peterborough, England, went on a 2-week killing spree that cost 3 men their lives and very nearly cost another 2 theirs. It turns out, though, that this former aspiring lawyer was the last person that you would have predicted to take such a vicious path. Dennehy was born in 1982 in St Albans, Hertfordshire, England. Her mother worked in a supermarket while her father was a security guard, and both parents doted on their 2 daughters who, for their part, were very close to one another. At school, meanwhile, Dennehy was someone who, with her notably considerate behaviour, was often trusted with responsibility by her teachers. A school netball star, for a while, Dennehy had private tuition on top of her schooling, her parents being keen for their daughter to fulfil her dream of becoming a lawyer. At the age of 15, Dennehy's behaviour takes a sudden and ruinous turn, and every attempt that her parents make to get their daughter away from the drink and the drugs that she has since started abusing, and to keep her away from the gang of older boys that she started mixing with and sleeping with, regrettably fail. Bold and flirty, at 15, Dennehy chats up a 20-year-old man by the name of John Trainer while he's out walking his dog, and 2 years later, at 17, the year being 1999, she gives birth to their first daughter. Having abstained all through her pregnancy from drink and drugs, and also from slicing her stomach, the woman being a self-harmer, on the way home from the hospital after giving birth, she gets high in the car. She repeats this cycle with her second daughter, whose year of birth I couldn't trace. In other words, she doesn't touch a drop of alcohol or any drugs while she's carrying the baby. But the second she gives birth, she's straight back on the booze, she's straight back on the drugs. After no fewer than 12 years of physical and verbal abuse from his alcoholic and drug addict girlfriend, John gathers his 2 daughters and moves up north. Getting herself locked up for burglary and theft and going from odd job to odd job is how Dennehy spends her time from 2009, the point when her boyfriend and her daughters disappeared from her life, to early 2013, the woman having since moved down to Peterborough. While serving a 14-week sentence for theft, she's put on antipsychotic medication, having been formally diagnosed as a psychopath. On completing her sentence and getting out, in January 2013, Dennehy gets a job as a rent collector for a property manager by the name of Kevin Lee. Kevin is a 40-year-old married father of 2 who starts sleeping with Dennehy not long after giving her a job, which comes with free accommodation, courtesy, of course, of Kevin himself. Having since stopped taking her medication, around the 19th of March, Dennehy invites a 31-year-old Polish man that she's just met, whose name, sorry if I mispronounce it, is Łukasz Slabozewski, round to her bedsit for sex. Moments after he walks in, Dennehy stabs him through the heart a single time, killing him more or less instantly. She's only able to get the body out to a ditch in the country with the help of a friend that she'd made 2 years before. A 7'3" broke drifter who has changed his name from Gary Richards to Gary Stretch as a self-deprecating joke about his height. Being wholly under Dennehy's spell, Stretch is honoured to help Dennehy dispose of the body. About 10 days after getting Kevin to move her into a new bedsit, Dennehy gets on with 37-year-old fellow dropout, if you will, Leslie Layton, who also lives there, but not with the third flatmate, 56-year-old Falklands veteran John Chapman. After she stabs Chapman to death while he's asleep on the sofa on the 29th of March, Layton takes pictures of the corpse on his phone because, like Stretch, he has become a besotted admirer of the killer. When, a few hours later, Kevin turns up at a different property to which Dennehy has access, he doesn't, by any means, get the kinky sex that Dennehy has promised him. Dennehy, Layton and Stretch dump his body in a rural area straight after dumping Chapman's own, Dennehy having dressed Kevin's body in a black sequin dress and having left it with the bottom exposed. The second Kevin had walked through the door a while before, Dennehy stabbed him multiple times. Humiliating him by leaving his body as she did must have felt like the icing on the cake, so to speak. When, 10 days on, Dennehy, Leighton and Stretch were all arrested, Dennehy had viciously knifed two random men over in Hereford, 63-year-old Robin Beriza and 56-year-old John Rogers, within minutes of each other. Stretch had served her in those two attacks as her chauffeur. The two men only survived their multiple stab wounds thanks to rapid medical intervention. Honestly, these two men were just out walking their dogs. It was broad daylight and Dennehy pounced on them. At the police station, Dennehy acted as if she was being arrested for stealing a charger, joking and flirting with the police officers.
Looks good.
Thanks, Matt. That makes me feel so good. Real sexy. Not a t-shirt, it's a tent.
Joanne, signature from you that we've got your property.
Right, so what am I up for? Attempted murder and murder.
You've been arrested on suspicion of attempted murder and murder.
Attempted murder and murder, something. So going down for Sunday roast. Excuse me.
The triple murderer later told a psychiatrist that she killed to see if she was as cold as she thought she was, and that taking the lives of others instantly became, quote, Moorish, unquote. On the 28th of February 2014 at the Old Bailey, Leighton got 14 years, Stretch got 19 years, and Dennehy, who, unlike her two co-defendants, had pleaded guilty to all her charges, got a whole life order. Let the sick fucker just eat her own shit every day of her worthless life. If this video has gripped you, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.